This woman died in 2007, surrounded not by children or friends, but lawyers. Her final will left $12 million to a white Maltese terrier named Trouble, while 2 of her grandchildren received nothing at all.
No heirlooms.
No kind words. Just a line in cold legal ink. I make no provision for them. Welcome to Silent Heirs, where final estates speak louder than eulogies. Subscribe to Silent Heirs for more forgotten final records and the lives they quietly reveal. The year was 2007. America was standing on the cusp of a financial crisis. But the penthouses of Manhattan were still glittering with old money and older secrets. Leona Helmsley had long been known as the Queen of Mean. Born in 1920 as Lena Rosenthal, she climbed from humble beginnings to build a real estate empire with her husband, Harry Helmsley. Together, they owned some of the most prized buildings in New York, including the Empire State Building itself. But wealth doesn't always soften a heart. By the end of her life, Leona had become infamous not for generosity, but for ruthlessness. Former employees called her cold, domineering. She served prison time for tax evasion, once reportedly saying, "Only the little people pay taxes." She outlived her husband by 10 years. And when she passed at the age of 87, what she left behind was more than just money. It was a final act, pointed, deliberate, and unforgettable. Leona Helmsley's estate was valued at well over $4 billion. But what makes her legacy infamous isn't the size of her fortune. It's how she chose to divide it. Her final will, dated July 2005, reads like a maze of marble walls. Cold, gleaming, and intentional. Within its pages, the details are both extravagant and stark. She left $12 million to a dog, her beloved white Maltese named Trouble. The funds were to be placed in a trust for the dog's care, with detailed instructions for grooming, diet, and security. After all, Trouble had received death threats after the will became public. $10 million to her brother, Alvin Rosenthal, provided he agreed to care for the dog. $100,000 each to her chauffeur and 2 long-serving employees. $3 million for the upkeep of her mausoleum, located in Sleepy Hollow Cemetery in Westchester County, New York. The will instructed that it be washed or steam cleaned at least once a year. In her own words, it was to be kept clean and impressive. The remainder of her estate, an estimated $4 billion, was placed into the Leona M. and Harry B. Helmsley Charitable Trust. But the trust's guidelines were vague, open-ended, unlike the instructions for her dog. And then, the exclusions. 2 of her grandchildren, Craig and Megan Panzer, received nothing. The will reads, "I have not made any provision in this will for my grandson Craig or my granddaughter Megan for reasons that are known to them." Cold. Unexplained. Final. What did they do to be erased? Rumors suggest family tensions, unmet expectations. But in the end, it doesn't matter. The ink dried. The money moved. The silence remained. The will also stipulated that her other 2 grandchildren, David and Walter Panzer, would receive $5 million each. But only if they visited their father's grave once a year. Proof had to be submitted to the estate executors. Not trust. Not love. Conditions. The legacy Leona left behind wasn't just financial. It was emotional, tightly wound, guarded. Her estate reads not like a goodbye, but a final attempt at control. In many ways, the most human part of her will isn't the billions in trusts, or the steam-cleaned mausoleum. It's the $12 million for a small dog, a creature who never judged, never betrayed, never asked questions. Just followed her down long hallways, sat at her feet, and waited. After her death, a judge would later reduce Trouble's trust from $12 million to $2 million, citing reasonableness. The rest was redistributed to the Helmsley Trust. But even then, Trouble lived comfortably until her death in 2010, under armed guard in Florida. Her disinherited grandchildren sued, and eventually won $6 million of the estate. But no court ruling could erase the public sting of their exclusion. Money, after all, is not the same as forgiveness. There's a line from Psalm 39 that feels painfully fitting. Surely every man walketh in a vain shoe. Surely they are disquieted in vain. He heapeth up riches, and knoweth not who shall gather them. What does it mean to build an empire, only to be remembered for who you left behind? In the end, Leona Helmsley's story is not just about excess or cruelty. It's about how legacies are written not only in wealth, but in absence. She built a kingdom, but left her crown to a dog, and her silence to her family. Hundreds of stories like this are buried in wills and court filings, waiting to be read aloud. Subscribe for more forgotten final records. In the quiet pages of Leona Helmsley's will, love was conditional, and loyalty was rewarded with cashmere cushions and bodyguards for a dog. She left behind billions, and a fractured family held together only by court filings. These are the stories history doesn't tell, but probate records do. Subscribe to Silent Heirs for more forgotten final records, and the lives they quietly reveal.